Anxiety is a prominent and growing mental health concern among college students. That transition to higher education is a significant life change, often marked by increased academic pressure, new social dynamics, and the challenge of managing independence away from established support systems. While a certain level of stress is normal in this environment, for a substantial portion of the student population, this stress escalates into debilitating anxiety that severely impacts their academic performance, social relationships, and overall well-being. That is why today we have here author and licensed psychotherapist Yvonne Castañeda. How can we share with the students, everybody who's watching this, that sense of I don't have everything figured out? And how can you, from this point in your life, look back and know that it's a journey, right?
Yeah.
And things will evolve.
Yeah.
But knowing what you know now, what can we give them if it's those three things, four things that could be very meaningful, like a structure, something they can rely on, that could be a good idea, good way to journey that I don't have it all figured out.
Oh, sure. And I love it. You actually named a lot of things that are like really important. I think the first thing that I would encourage students is to first just develop awareness. Like if you're not aware of what is actually triggering anxiety, then it's that much harder to, it's like putting a Band-Aid. You know what I mean? So like, I think first is like, develop some awareness about what are your pain points? What are the things that trigger anxiety? And I can tell you with certainty that anxiety usually is fear of tomorrow. It's future oriented, right? So like, again, it's not uncommon for an 18-year-old to be thinking about, oh my God, what am I gonna do when I graduate? Right? So first, like, develop awareness. Maybe just pause and think about, where are my thoughts? What am I thinking about? I think the second thing is just, okay, so identify maybe your anxiety is coming from you're afraid that you don't know what's going to happen. And I think number one is, okay, embrace the fear. I'm not gonna say don't be afraid. If I told you not to be afraid, are you gonna listen to me? No, you're gonna be afraid, right? It's like, okay, I am afraid.
And sometimes it's irrational.
And it's
Just
irrational,
feel it.
right? And so I think like for students is, okay, can you admit that maybe the fear is X, Y, and Z, and it's grounded in the future, and go ahead and embrace the fear, identify it, embrace it, and can you develop some practices to remind yourself of where you are right now? Like, it's okay, and I tell clients this all the time, okay, you can be a little bit afraid about the future and also make space for, where am I right now? Right? Like if you're in class and you're thinking about, what am I gonna do after, you know what I mean? Like you miss everything that's happening in the moment. So like, okay, I see it and I'm also here right now. I see it and I'm here right now. So I feel like that over time, just you develop a practice of coming back, and that takes persistence. I think another thing that's really important is to go ahead and make space for, identify that maybe the vision that you have or the thing that you want is not what everybody else wants. And that takes developing like some space for, okay, so maybe I don't want what everybody else wants, and go ahead and want it anyway. You know what I mean? Like, you're gonna be uncomfortable, be uncomfortable. Go ahead and be uncomfortable. And so I think the most important thing that I could share with students is anxiety feels so uncomfortable. You know, the heart racing, the butterflies, maybe like sweaty palms hands. Get sweaty. Like if you recognize that you just packed a suitcase and went to the future, like there are so many grounding tools available to just bring you back to right now. Where am I right now? Okay. So something very simple is I tell individuals just to look around the room and identify things that they see, things that they can hear, things that they use all your senses, like come back to right now.
You don't have to have anything external. You just have it there, your breath, all your senses.
Yeah, and this is where fidget toys are actually really helpful. Yes. The reason they're helpful is because they're sensory. Yes. So it's like your body's receiving a message that it's right here. You become aware, like where am I? I'm right here, right now. Yes. You know?
What recommendation do you have for these students watching us, and how do I get the courage to go with what I'm feeling is my path. When you have an environment that is telling you, no, this way is the path.
I think you have to make that step knowing that it's going to be uncomfortable. Because I think so much of this has to do with we don't want to choose or go our own path because we just don't want to be uncomfortable. Because we know mommy's not going to agree, our dad's not going to approve, or we think they're not, and what is everybody else going to say, and blah, 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 and all that. And all that's fair, I get it, it's fair. But it's like you have to recognize that when you do choose to go your own way, when everybody else is telling you to do something different, and everything you see on social media is telling you different, you almost have to go into it knowing this is going to be uncomfortable, and I'm going to do it anyway. Because I think like when you are uncomfortable and you let yourself be uncomfortable, you send a message to yourself like, I can be uncomfortable. I'm not going to die. Like I could just be uncomfortable. So it's really about embracing that. Go ahead and be okay with disappointing someone. And like, I'm smiling because I know it's easier said than done. But you need to be okay disappointing other people.
But many times we hear that people say, you know, it doesn't matter, they're going to criticize you anyway. So even if you try to go with the path that people say, you're going to always say or do something that is not going to be approved, right? So, but why is it so important to go with your instinct and your path?
Well, because I think, such a great question. You guys ask great questions. I think when you go with what other people are telling you, you set yourself up for a lifetime of codependency. It's like you give the key to your happiness and your inner peace to other people. You never really own it for yourself, you know? So it's almost like, you know, again, when I work with clients, I say, you gotta choose your flavor of discomfort. You can either be uncomfortable with choosing your own path, or you can be uncomfortable for the rest of your whole life with living according to what you think other people want from you or what they're telling you. So I look at it as like, you're either gonna go for a lifetime of liberation or a lifetime of like internal, like struggle, you know, always trying to figure out what's best for you.
And from your experience, what are the things that people deal the most? Is anxiety a big one in your practice?
You know, yes, and trauma. Like I have been blown away by just how much we all carry.
And what I like about you that you said I don't have any like trauma, like, but then you have a lot of like internal, you know, things that were conflicting with who you felt you were. I read the book. It's like you have so much going on internally, and that's sometimes the worst enemy, ourselves. So how much that voice can affect us, in addition to, of course, everything that happens in your life.
Again, that's such a great thing to talk about. Because I think, again, it's like I said, nobody did anything to me. Things were done, and I was there. And I internalized and I personalized, and it became a narrative within me, right? Which led to a lot of harm. So I think for students especially, it's so common, I think, that we might have discomfort. We might feel sad, we might feel anxiety, we might feel even depressed, and we won't give ourselves permission because we had a good life. Because, you know, my parents work hard for me and they've made so many sacrifices and I should be grateful and all that stuff. And so I think like first and foremost is like, again, I would tell any student, any human, is like, just because you had a great life and you were provided for doesn't mean that all these other things aren't true. Like, these things are actually true also. Again, it's like if you don't see yourself and recognize what's happening, you can't remedy it. You can't change it. Right? So like you become aware of that voice, and then you start to be really curious about it. Whose voice is this actually? And like, where did this voice come from? Because it's not the voice you were born with.
It brings it back to awareness, no? Which is what the first thing you mentioned. Yeah. Just become aware, observe yourself, which is basically meditation, no?
Yeah, and that's hard too. You know, I recognize like I have clients who are like, please don't tell me to meditate. I'm like, okay, all right, we're gonna get there. But I get them to meditate in different ways.
Yeah, I tell them walking is a meditation. Yeah, you don't have to just do like this. And the other thing about this is the guilt, you know, dealing with the guilt of what you just said, because I think many people feel the guilt because they had a good life, but still they don't feel happy. Yeah. So then you have to deal with not feeling happy and then the guilt of not feeling happy.
Oh my gosh, yeah. It's so layered.
People are like, oh, you have no trauma. Let me tell you, I do have trauma. So then you start dealing with this, oh my God, I'm so ungrateful that I had a great life, but I feel bad. I'm anxious, I'm depressed or whatever people deal with. So how do you help those people when you are in your practice to get out of the guilt and deal with the fact that, yeah, I'm depressed no matter what happened in my life. I have money, I have success. How many of us have seen people in our practices that no matter what, you know, happiness is not found in success and money. We all know that.
I think I'm hoping that clients can get to a space where all things are true at the same time, right? Because we definitely live in a state of like duality. It's all this or it's all that, you know? I'm all good or I'm all bad. I'm all strong or I'm completely a train wreck. With clients specifically, and this is so common, clients specifically that grew up in a home in which they were fed and clothed and their parents made a lot of sacrifices, similar to myself, probably similar to you too, right? It's a process, like getting them to a space where they feel comfortable even just talking about their parents in a way that is not super, you know what I mean? It's like let's just create a little bit of space. Oh yeah, no, I'm great. You know, the clients that come in, they're like, no, I had a really great childhood. Oh yeah, no, I'm always like, It's a bit of a process. It's almost like I give them permission to feel that, like they have to give themselves permission to feel that way, and also recognize that it doesn't mean that all these wonderful things they experience aren't true. Like that's true too. Like it can be true all at the same time, you know, but they have to make their way there. But you know what's interesting is like a way for them to get there again is in the therapeutic process. It's like if they could say those things out loud in front of a therapist, I'm not doing anything. I just made the space. It's for them to say it out loud. Like just recognize that was hard. Yeah. Because, you know, I always say like there's pain and then there's suffering. So another way that I help clients see it is, you know, it sounds like because of the things that you witnessed as a child and things you experienced, that there is a great deal of pain. But you judging yourself for feeling that pain, you just added a layer of suffering. So let's remove the suffering
the extra
and focus on the pain. Right, so sometimes that helps them shift. Like, oh,
like I'll start to like fidget a lot. Like I'll shake my leg, or my heart will go really fast.
Like we were talking about anxiety, and when I was at Miami-Dade College, I remember feeling anxiety. I just didn't have a name for it. I didn't have the words.
If you'd like more information on the topics discussed on Mindset, the organizations on your screen are here to help.
A world of education and opportunity within reach. You're watching MDC-TV.
Hi.
Thank you for taking the time to talk about anxiety with us. So what's anxiety for you?
Let me see. Anxiety for me is like you're in a closet and it's like slowly closing in on you.
Anxiety when it comes to schoolwork, anxiety at home, anxiety when it comes to like being a part of the campus.
Anxiety to me, it feels like when you're like in a room by yourself, in a dark room, and you have nobody to help you, and you're just struggling by yourself.
I pray about it.
I read my Bible, and I just like go on a walk and clear my head.
I try my best to just keep moving forward in the moment. Of course, like, you know, there's, especially when you're in the moment, you know, you can't really take no breaks once you're in the moment. So like when I have that free time to myself, then like I talk to myself. It is just like, you know, it's just like help me try to put into words how I want to explain what's going on and how I'm feeling. Either that, or I just listen to music, or I probably just like try to sleep it off. That's the best thing that probably works for me when it comes to handling anxiety, yeah.
When I feel anxious, I go out on a walk, on a long walk, and just talk to myself and pray. So yeah.
It's okay, everybody goes through anxiety. And just life is life, and you'll get through it one way or another.
Do you have any advice for people who are dealing with anxiety?
It's okay. You will get through it. You just need to walk, take a deep breath, and then you just gotta realize life is life. So you know, that's it.
I gotta better manage my anxiety somehow. So I know it's not always good to just handle it by yourself sometimes, because you might think like nobody's in your corner. Like, what if your friends are dealing with stuff as well? You don't want to be a burden on them. And, you know, sometimes you can't go to family because, you know, they have their own problems as well. So if there's a resource out there that I would take to help better manage my anxiety, then yeah, of course, I will take it.
Thank you so much. Like, we were talking about anxiety, and when I was at Miami-Dade College, I remember feeling anxiety. I just didn't have a name for it. I didn't have the words. Do you think you might struggle with anxiety?
I definitely do.
You're like, I'm not even going to hesitate. Yes. Yeah. How do you know? Like, what does it look like for you?
I used to do music when I was in high school and stuff, and even like before that, like test taking caused me a lot of anxiety, and just like I feel like being put in certain social situations made me kind of more aware of it. But especially like having to experience performing in front of others and like doing like playing tests and things of that nature really like made it obvious to me that I have some sort of anxiety thing going on.
How uncomfortable. What have you done like to help you get through it?
It was definitely a lot of like trial and error, and kind of like once it had happened, me realizing that I don't want to experience something like that all of the time. So I would go to my friends to seek advice or comfort, or just to talk to them to like kind of see what had happened and how to overcome it. Like, and I found that definitely like if it had occurred, going to my friends was the best way for me to deal with it. And especially like making sure I'm prepared, because like it makes it worse when you're not prepared.
Oh my God, yeah.
So, because even if I'm prepared, like it'll still happen, but you know, trying to like minimize how much unknown I was going into would help me make me less anxious.
Okay,
Yeah.
so it sounds like you have like a good support system. And do you, just a quick question, like do you find that anxiety is really common among like you and your friend group, or not so much?
I wouldn't say no. Actually, I feel like I'm probably one of the, especially like who have it worse than all of them. I think like certain situations can bring out anxiety in anyone. But like on a day-to-day basis, I think I'm probably one of the few like in the friend group, I guess.
Yeah. And do you feel like even just being in college has made it a little bit worse, or
I
not
think
so much?
Being in college actually has helped it not be as frequent, just because it's not like an everyday, like especially depending on how you make your schedule. I only have classes Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, so I have like the day in between to like get work done, or like kind of like
You're busy.
Yeah, like decompress from the class before, or just like doing fun stuff that help me get my stress levels down. So once I'm back in class again, it's not like I'm still on that high from before.
Sure. And like, how do you know? This is like a question that I usually ask actually clients. It's like, how do you know that you have anxiety? Do you know what I mean? Like, what is happening internally?
Well, for me, what usually happens internally, like I'll start to like fidget a lot, like I'll shake my leg, or my heart will go really fast. And a big sign for me is like when my mouth starts to get dry, because then it's like I don't know how to explain, but I just know that like when that's happening, like something's going on. Or sometimes like my hands will kind of go numb too. Like that's when it's like really serious. But it's usually just like, I guess like this nervous feeling that I can't shake. It's like even if I know like nothing wrong is gonna happen, or like nothing bad will come out of the situation I'm in, like I still feel that kind of like fear. And that's like even like being told or like being reassured, it's like
it's okay.
Yeah,
it doesn't help.
Yeah, so it's like, you know, that's kind of what tells me like
okay. Thank you so much.
Of course.
Yeah, navigate the pain, navigate whatever feels uncomfortable, because it's also about feeling, you know, that's part of the life. But how can we help students and people watching us to still be happy and feel hope about the future despite whatever they're dealing with?
Even though my clients, like, my clients, I'm always like, oh, you're feeling uncomfortable and sad? And they're like, yeah, and I'm like, good. They're like, what do you mean? Because
you're not running away from it.
Right.
You have to face it.
Absolutely. Like life isn't, I think it's so unfair the way that we are conditioned to move into life. And I say this for everybody, especially like youth starting their college, right? It's like we're never really given permission to just not be 100%, you know, happy and joyful and all that. Like, actually, no, pain is a part of life. Like, discomfort. But more importantly, I think, I would hope that youth or young adults, or anybody watching this, right, can recognize that discomfort is never like your downfall. Discomfort is your deliverance. It's an indicator, right, that something within you is trying to grow. Like, that parts of you really want to stretch. And how beautiful that is, right? Because I don't know about you, but I never want to feel like I stopped growing. I want to always feel like there's more, you know? And so if somebody's feeling uncomfortable, sad, down, like maybe, okay, that is hard. And what is being asked of me right now? Like maybe there is something here for me. Maybe I have something to offer the world. Because you do. Because
we all
everybody
have
does.
something to.
So many layers, no? And sometimes we also have to step back from our upbringing or, you know, what's familiar. Like you travel when you were working in the cruise ship so far, and that gives us perspective in order to see our life, to see ourselves. So I think that's also very important, no? And I think that's also something that helped you probably to have that distance, physical distance also.
Yes. I feel that I was very blessed. I had opportunities that most people maybe don't get, you know, like absolutely. And so I also recognize like it may be hard. Like if you're living at home with your family, you know, with your parents and your grandparents and your uncle, and like, I get it. Like maybe you don't have that kind of ability to step away, but it doesn't mean you can't get it internally.
But also your story shows that it's never too late.
Never.
Because at 27, you went back home to live with your parents.
Oh yeah.
At 45, you went back to college or to study. So it's about reinventing yourself, and that when people feel down, like, oh my God, I don't know what to do. Sometimes I talk to young adults or students, and they are like, oh, I don't know if this is going to be my career. I feel I'm getting old, and they're 28, 29.
Yeah, I get that.
You know, it's like, oh, I'm running out of time. So, and I see your story, so you are proof that it doesn't matter. There is always time to reinvent, to go back to college, to do something, and start all over. As you had a fitness career, you were promoted, and you had a good experience in that area, and then you left it to go back to study at 45. Yeah. So for those who are watching and they're 20, 22, and they're feeling hopeless, what can we say to them about, getting to that? Because it's sometimes we hear from them that they talk about like this pressure of, achievement. We have to
achieve,
It's a biggie.
achieve. Yeah, by a certain age.
Yes.
Yeah. And now then they feel like, oh my God, I'm running out of that achievement. So what do we say?
What I want to say is, like, first of all, time is a human construct. Like, we invented this idea that you got to do the thing. By the time you're 28, you have to have your whole life, you know, and of course through a hetero perspective, right? Like you have to be married and you have to have, you know, a serious partner, and you're already have to like have money saved to buy a home. That's not going to happen now. Can you recognize that first? Can you see how maybe you were conditioned to believe that you have to be somewhere by the time you're a certain age, and is that fair? You know, and then also like to just see yourself as a human that is constantly evolving, and to lean into it, to be like, you know what, I don't really know where I'm going, and maybe part of that can be exciting, because then you're surprised, and then you're not disappointed. Then your expectations aren't, you know, not met, because you had this whole idea where you thought your life was going to go a certain type of way.
Yvonne, when you look at yourself in the mirror today,
Do I cry?
do you love yourself? Do you feel
No.
loving to yourself?
Not always.
Okay.
No, I would be lying to you if I said, oh yeah, me and myself, we are so in love with each other. No, no. I mean, it creeps back in, absolutely. And again, I am like, okay, I see you, I hear you. And I'm still gonna do this thing. Do you know what I mean? Like, okay, I think a part of what has helped me so much is just embracing I'm not perfect. There's no such thing. Like, how mean, you know? And then like, also to be honest with you, like sometimes that critical voice is necessary, because I am always aware that there may be things in my blind spot that I don't see. And so I have learned to hear this voice as is this an encouragement to grow? Are you asking me to see something and I need to grow? Or is this just an internal bashing? I don't bash my appearance. I don't bash my career. I don't do those things. But if I have an interaction with someone and then I go back and I revisit that interaction, I am able to identify, like, am I just bashing myself? Am I insecure? Am I just doubting myself? Or was there a way for me to show up a little different with this individual? Does that answer your question?
It's also how you relate to yourself.
Yeah,
Now with more wisdom, more compassion, and more awareness, that you explained it very well. I also go ahead.
And I think now with social media, what I see in young adults and students and all of us, that we tend to compare with the happy life another person has, because no one is going to talk about their traumas and their struggles. Some people do, but most people put the beautiful picture, the perfect family, the nice life they have. So there is a lot of pressure.
Oh God.
All the filters. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So
Yeah, I'm grateful that I didn't grow up in that world. I think everything probably would have been 100 million times worse. And again, like, if I work with youth, or when I worked in high school, like as a therapist, I'm not going to tell somebody like, you need to get off social media. Like, they're not. They're not the best, that we can do there is like provide them with some tools to navigate this stage of life. Anybody in that late teens, 20s is inevitably impacted by something. I didn't have social media, and yet I still felt the pressure of everybody else around me is getting married. It's like you can't escape it.
Yes.
Right? So there was absolutely a lot of comparison. Like, maybe I'm falling behind, right? The fear of missing out. Maybe I'm falling behind. Maybe I'm not doing it right. Maybe. And so again, it's like you said, being aware that you are doing that, and always anchor yourself in what is true. And that's so hard. I know that is hard. And so like with clients, I make space for it. Like, we make space, okay, this is a little tough, So yeah, you are honest with yourself and recognizing that maybe you're a little bit jealous. Maybe you're a little bit jealous.
Yeah.
Maybe you're a little bit afraid. Maybe all those things. And what is actually true for you? Do you want to get married? And then they're like, oh no. No, not really, no. Okay.
How were you able to release your story, and what was the process for
writing it?
Yeah, because I thought about your family. What are they saying about, how do they feel about you exposing your story?
I think, in 2004, I had written another book, and it was published. It was called The Whole Wide World. And it was really really just the funny side of our lives. And it's about when I was a school teacher, so it's semi-autobiographical, but not the real. And I remember that after that book, my mom asked me, why didn't you write, like, did you write about the bulimia? And I was like, oh no, Mom, that's another book. That would have changed the whole vibe of the book. But it was interesting that she asked me that. And then I remember thinking, like, that book is there. I'm not ready to write that book. But I actually, truthfully, was still struggling myself. So I was like, probably too close to it, So like writing this book, I can't say that I had anybody in my family that was like, don't write it. But I recognized, like, when I looked for books on mental health that are written by a Latino, for the Latino community on mental health, like a very personal, open, I really couldn't find any. But it made me think about no, pues es que ¿qué van a pensar? What are they gonna think? But that gave me more fuel.
Was the process of writing it like a healing journey for you?
It was something that, truthfully, I wanted to stab my eye with a fork every day, because it was hard. It wasn't, ay, qué rico, this is great, I'm just, there was a lot about it that was cathartic, but mostly it was eye-opening to me how much I still carried. It was eye-opening to me how much harm I had done to myself, right? So I would always look back on that version of myself with anger, with judgment, with disgust, with shame. For so long I had done that, and I don't think that I fully owned that. But in writing it, I realized, wow, I was angry with myself because I hurt other people so much when I was sick, when I was suffering. And so I learned to shift. I learned to have compassion for myself, and that was a journey. This book was a journey.
All the revealing and facing, that the truth. You talk a lot about speaking the truth in your book, right?
Yeah.
And you know what? We are in Miami-Dade College, North Campus, and you were part of Miami-Dade College at one point in life.
I was.
And they're gonna be watching you.
I know.
How did you feel coming back today?
Oh my God, look at the look on my face. I'm like, oh my God. It's like a full circle moment. I have to tell you, and I really hope, like, students watching this, like, take this to heart. The truth is that when I started college, and as you know from reading it, like, I took time off. I didn't go right away to school. And so when I decided to go back to college and start at Miami-Dade, honestly, I remember starting and thinking I probably won't finish. I don't know why I thought that, but I was like, well, even though I was a good student, I was smart and I loved school, I didn't have a model. I didn't have anybody in my life who went to college. It wasn't something that we did. So I thought, well, let me just go but I probably won't finish.
Yes.
And if it wasn't for the professors that I had and just how much I appreciated the education, I had great professors. I had professors that cared deeply about whether or not I learned.
Because you were the first one in your family, right?
Yeah.
Who went to college.
Yeah, and I recognize how hard that is for many people who are just starting college. I think that there's enough data to show that our specific community, Latino community, starts college. More of us are going to college, but still the retention rate is not as high as we want it to be. There's a drop off in sophomore year. And I've thought about that a lot. And I think for myself, again, I have to pick something that's gonna make money. And I don't blame my family for wanting us to make money. They were poor, I get it. But you have to study something that's gonna equate to financial success. That isn't clear for everyone.
I think that relates to all communities, you know. The fact that we have the pressure to success and all that, and you know, Miami-Dade College has so many cultures, so many languages, so many backgrounds, but when you think about it, we're all different, we all come from different backgrounds. Because even if it was your grandfather or great-grandfather, there is a lot about what you talk about not fitting in and not feeling like the imposter syndrome that, you know, at one point I was like, why are they talking about this imposter syndrome? Everyone is talking about this. I don't have that. And then one day I'm like, oh my God, I have that. So who doesn't have anxiety? Who doesn't have imposter syndrome as you? How did you find out about anxiety? How did you?
I didn't know. I had no idea. Like, I know, like, as you know from the book, like, I used to watch my mom. Like, my memory of my mother is not that she was always joyful. My memory of my mother is that she was always nervous, nerviosa. And I look back now, especially now as a therapist, and I realize, oh, that's a lifelong battle with anxiety. And I didn't know that I had that. So in writing this book, obviously there's a lot of, So I was able to realize that the eating disorder, alcohol addiction, cigarettes, exercise, those were all things I did to alleviate anxiety. And that anxiety lives in the same space as imposter syndrome. Like it's all one gigantic, mental health soup. As far as like overcoming, like you're right, I did speak a lot about truth. Even like when I think about imposter syndrome and anxiety, I think the reason that I felt that so deeply is because I was so removed from what was actually true for me. I was so far away from it. I didn't make decisions that were rooted in what I really felt aligned with. I made decisions that were rooted in expectations. I made fear-based decisions. I have to do this because if not, this is gonna happen. I think that's an element, like a dimension of imposter syndrome that I had never considered, which is that maybe the truth is that I felt like an imposter because I kind of was. I wasn't living a life aligned with, this is what is right for me.
What do you think was the root of that? Because in the beginning of the book, when you're getting to high school, we all are trying to fit in and belong. So you come with this cultural background, which is different from, let's say mainstream media, what we saw portrayed in the media and so forth. So was it that sense of wanting to belong? What do you think started that in you that you felt you needed to just create a persona that was not your truth?
Yeah. I think our childhood, as much as we want to believe that, but that, that we were kidsy, that didn't really impact us. That's not true. We don't necessarily learn what we're taught in a moment. We learn what is modeled over time, right? So like when I think about, what happened? I think the reason I was always trying to fit in is because I wasn't necessarily taught to see the value in just myself as is. It's almost like I was taught, what was modeled for me was that I needed to outsource my self-worth. So that my identity, my self-worth was wrapped up in my appearance, on whether or not people liked me, right? Because we're super consumed with ¿qué van a pensar? And what are they gonna think? And we have to make sure that we're liked. It was wrapped up in my achievements, my career, money, like all of those things. And I think like that really, it creates so much distance from the ground. We talk so much about grounding, but I was like nowhere near it. It was as if I was yanked from the ground. I was in the air trying to figure it out. And so I think internalizing messages, things that we see in our lives growing up, what our parents model for us, not what they tell us, but what they model, like it made an impact on me, right?
And what was that lifeline that you feel really made a difference for you to start like, okay, wait, I have to do something about?
I think, and I alluded to this in the book, like my grandmother, my Mexican grandmother, she said something to me when I was 17 years old. And she said, and I was in that space of, I don't know if I want to go to college. I don't know what I want to be. I don't know what I want to do. And my grandmother said, don't worry. Someday you will know what this life wants from you. And I just remember that moment was pivotal because I felt like those words I knew that those words were significant, but I didn't know the significance of those words. And so, but they just like, I don't know, it's just kind of landed. And it wasn't until I was 34. It was 7 years of a very dark space of really toxic, horrible relationships, a lot of self-harm, a lot of, binging and purging and alcohol and cigarettes and just a lot of distracting and numbing and wanting to get away. And I remember after that last relationship that I had, it was so horrible. And it was horrible, not so much because of what he did, but because of what it called forth in me. Like I was my ugliest, nastiest, most terrible self. And I think like at that moment when that relationship ended, that was surely this can't be just because of them. I couldn't blame it on my relationships. Like, nah, I knew that wasn't true. I knew that there was something within me, but I just didn't know.
It's like there were two of you inside of you, right? The one that was always
protective.
Yeah. And then the other one that is hammering all the time, like, oh wait, no, I shouldn't be showing this, but then your cry out for help, like you were like, God, please, God. So tell us about that spiritual connection that you have.
It has been everything, and I say that, with a lot of intention and consideration. Like it's not just about Jesus or Muhammad or Buddha, like I said, they're great guys, love them. But it wasn't necessarily just one thing, But I think I've always been guided, I think I have always felt very connected to something much greater than me. And I think all I did for most of my life was ignore it or run away from it or think that I could control everything about my life. And so, I recognize now that anxiety specifically was really rooted in fear of what was going to happen. And even beyond that, like it wasn't that I was afraid of the future, I was afraid that I wasn't going to be okay in the future. And that to me was like, you're not really, a mistake, right? Oh yeah, all of it, like it's not going to be okay. And so I never really surrendered to the idea that maybe it's okay that I don't know what's going to happen. Like maybe actually that's kind of exciting. Like,
and what would you tell your college self? Let's say right now here from Miami-Dade College, where you came to school today after, writing this book and being a successful professional. What would you tell your college self today?
I think I would tell her to surround herself and seek individuals who represent something wildly different to what she is living. Because, somebody could have told me this when I was 20, 18, 19. And the truth is, I didn't have the depth to receive words. A lot of people gave me great words, like my grandmother, right? But they just never, I think what I would tell like myself is just to stay in faith and make decisions that are rooted in faith, not in fear. Almost like next time you're going to make a decision, pause. Are you doing this because you're afraid? Or are you running towards your life or away? I think that's what I would tell. Almost like a guide.
My mind, how do you forgive yourself?
Whew. Girl, you don't shy away. It was a process. It's a process. I can't say that it's like I'm done. Like even this weekend, I had an interaction with my mom where I became a little bit impatient. And I know that it caused harm in her. And she tried to give me a pass, and I could have taken that pass. No, mija, it's okay. And then I remember, I was like, no, it's not actually. You need to let me feel this pain and this shame and this awful thing that I feel. And so for me to really forgive myself, I had to lean into the fact that maybe there was a lot about me that showed up along the way that was damaging and hurtful to others, right? I think you can't forgive what you can't see. And so I had to really be honest with myself about, you know, you weren't a very nice person. Yeah, I understand I was sick, I was struggling, but
I know we become selfish, right?
Yes.
When it's all about us, our pain, our...
I was so selfish.
Before we go, I also wanna, I just wanna bring up how special that relationship with your brother, how it shows in the book, that you kept fighting over, you know, what siblings do.
Yeah.
But I feel like, I don't feel I read it in your book, how he was that person you called when you really were borderline in a very, very dark space.
Oh yeah, thank God. You know, it has taken me a good while to, like, when I think about my brother, I think, oh, God, it must have been horrible to be my brother. That is sometimes what I think, a lot. So I'm like, I was just given so much praise and so much acknowledgement and so much like, oh, your sister this, and you should be more like your sister, and your sister's so smart, and I think about it and I'm like, oh, my poor brother, like my poor brother. And so we weren't necessarily super close, and yet we were, right? Because he is the person that I reached out to. I could have reached out to a lot of different people.
Yeah.
He was the person to this day, right? Now I have another brother, which is nice. But I just, it's like, you just know. You just know. You know, you may not have the tightest relationship ever, but like I remember in that moment, and there had been other moments that we had held each other. I just knew, like, I need to call someone, and I'm going to call him, because I knew he would stay calm. You know, if I called my mom, it would have been hysterics. So my brother kept me calm.
I love that so much. It really touched me.
And even with your parents, like you talk about the importance of family.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, we all come from different walks of life and many things in our families, but family is family at the end.
And not everybody has a family that they can rely on. No. But you can create your friends.
That's what I was,
that become family. No.
Family is cultivated. It's cultivated, but I mean, I think something, I know we talked about this, like it was very important to me that I didn't put out a book that was about all the ways in which my parents screwed me up. Like, no. Like I said, they didn't do anything to me. They were just showing up as human beings, vulnerabilities and all, and I was learning. So it's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking when I read articles about how people are just completely cutting their families off. I don't know the circumstances, but what I do know is that it just, I don't know, the way that I look at it is like sometimes it just perpetuates.
I have cases of people who don't have a way out to stay with the family. So I think it's also what Maria said in this program, and just to close it, we like to talk about community. So one thing we want to encourage the people watching us is find your family, create your family in life, those friends, those people that you can rely on. That, as you said, people that bring positive to your life, that have kind of the similar values and ways of being that keeps you feeling supported.
And also at the end of the book, there's some very good resources.
Yes.
You put here SAMHSA's National Helpline, the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline, the Crisis Text Line, the National Eating Disorder Helpline, NEDA, the National Association of Anorexia Nervosa and Associated Disorders, Overeaters Anonymous, National Hope Line Network, and Domestic Abuse and Violence Support. Thank you for sharing that.
Yes,
very
and we want to
important.
add, of course, a big partner of Miami-Dade College, which is NAMI, and they have a nice presence, and they're growing in this campus, and it's the National Association for Mental Health. And just go and talk to someone. You are not alone, and the idea of these programs is that you feel you have the community right here to help you in any way we can, because we are all dealing with anxiety and different challenges in life. So thank you so much.
You are
Yvonne,
welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
This has
That was
been
awesome.
a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
If you'd like more information on the topics discussed on Mindset, the organizations on your screen are here to help.
This is just the start of the conversation. We'll be visiting more campuses and continuing these discussions with students and experts along the way.